I'm actually very excited for this conversation because जब हमने last time बात की थी तब से अब तक काफी time बीत चुका है. I think almost a year and a half. मेरा
I
ISB
think
खत्म
so.
हो चुका है, आपका हार्वर्ड खत्म हो चुका है, and we have both started our post college gigs as well. Though I want our viewers also today to go and revisit that video if they are looking for specific advice on masters in public policy and related programs and उनमें जो admission process है, India versus abroad, all of these themes are covered here. But today, Nitin and I will talk about his journey. And Nitin के जो भी बहुत honest learnings रहे हैं over this years long process, the journey which finally probably has come to fruition, although हम नितिन से ही सुनेंगे कितना journey बाकी है, how many miles more to go before he sleeps. So Nitin, I would like you to begin this talk with where you are currently, what you're doing, and then we'll go a little bit into the past of how UPSC happened, because आप engineering background से हो, आपका first stint UPSC नहीं था. So we'll revisit that later, but first I want everybody to hear about what you're doing currently post Harvard, where you are.
Sure. No, thank you, Sagam, for talking and be hearing so-called gyan of people like us who feel that we have been able to move from that. We have been able to transition from that world of our preparations and Rajendra Nagar and all those books and newspapers, Hindu Express, etc. So yeah, it's always good to connect to you and also try to explore how Shorts Beyond UPC channel and the subscribers and people who are following it can also be benefited from our transition. So yeah, as of now, I am here in Providence, which is a city in Rhode Island state of US. It's very close to Boston, just 40 miles from there. And here, my wife, Ritika, she's working in Brown University. So I have moved here as well, and we are living here. I'm working after my graduation from Harvard in this social impact startup called SHRI, which works on water and sanitation in Bihar and Jharkhand states of India. And so my role is more on government relations, strategy, operations, on how we can ensure that people, especially in the rural and the peri-urban areas of India and in these two states, Bihar and Jharkhand, which require a lot of interventions in development sector, be it water, sanitation, education, health, etc., can get these services for either so-called subsidized rates or maybe for free if we are able to create that kind of opportunity, be it from government side, be it from external funders, etc. So yeah, my role is basically trying to get these things tackled and solved in this place. And I think what you were saying, abhi aage kahan journey kaise shift hona hai, kya hona, I think that's where I feel I'm happy that I'm able to contribute very little in that ocean, maybe something, even by sitting here so many thousands of miles away and visiting India every 2 to 3 months to help our team back there and talk to different organizations, government folks, CSR organizations, etc., to see how we are able to create that kind of public service, which was the orientation because of which आदमी UPSC की तैयारी कभी किया था, as you said, after my engineering and my job as well. So I think I think that it's basically building up, even if I was not able to get my desired outcome in the UPSC process. But so yeah, I'm happy that at least it's shaping in a manner where I feel I'm contributing to something, and at the same time, I'm also exploring new things and getting new opportunities as well.
Okay. And that's interesting what you said. Even if you didn't get your desired outcome of UPSC, do you still feel that pinch? आपको अभी भी लगता है कि यार desired outcome नहीं मिला यार, second best है ये तो?
तो सेकंड बेस्ट का इकोनॉमिक थ्योरी यू माइट हैव रेड अबाउट, और हम यहाँ पे हार्वर्ड में हम लोग एक प्रोग्राम में था सेकंड बेस्ट इकोनॉमिक पॉलिसी क्या होती है, तो चाइना ने क्या किया, कोरिया ने क्या किया, इंडिया को क्या करना चाहिए अपनी इंडस्ट्रियल पॉलिसी में. तो आई डोंट नो फर्स्ट बेस्ट सेकंड बेस्ट के एंगल से, लेकिन यार टू बी ऑनेस्ट मेनी पीपल हैव सेड दिस टू मी दैट यू शुड मूव ऑन, ये अब तुम्हारा पास्ट था, अतीत था, अब आगे बढ़ना चाहिए. And it's not like I have not moved on. Obviously, I have moved on, and that's why today I'm here. I'm not maybe still giving my attempts, which I had. I had a couple of attempts left, जिसको कि मैंने नहीं pursue किया, and I moved on to to different things in the last 4 or 5 years, be it working in EY and then joining Kennedy School. But at the same time, I feel कि move on क्या ये होता है कि आप उस चीज को पूरा एकदम अपने मेमोरीज में ब्लैक बोर्ड जैसे इरेज करते हैं डस्टर से, वैसा कुछ कर लेना, या and even if you, by the way, dust the blackboard, you still have those remnants जो कि कुछ होता है. So I don't know कि हम erase करना चाहते हैं या नहीं करना चाहते हैं, but I feel that's a thing which people like us can connect to many people who either are going through the transition or have also gone through the transition and are doing great things. Like, last week I was talking to a college senior of mine, Ankit sir, and हम लोग एक कुछ बात कर रहे थे life beyond UPSC, like we had done 1 year back on shows beyond UPSC, and we discussed कि यार you just cannot say कि हाँ पूरी तरीके से वो चीज अब खत्म हो चुका है, and now you cannot even remember what used to happen when you saw the results, or when you watch web series like Aspirants, SK Sir, etc. You connect a bit, even if you perhaps might have moved on. So I'll say that I have moved on. I think I have moved on, and I'm happy that I have moved on. And I think that people should also realize when they want to move on or when they want to prepare. Obviously, it's their choice. First best, second best, that's hard to say. But हाँ, एक desire तो आपका होता ही है कोई चीज के लिए when you put efforts and time into. So yeah.
Yeah. I guess that's a very honest answer.
I think so.
मैंने आपने सोचा था कि आप अभी यहाँ होते where you are currently?
No. To be honest, never. बहुत बार ये मुझे लोगों ने पूछा है, और शायद बहुत लोग का होता है एम कि आपको हार्वर्ड जाना है या आपको स्टैनफोर्ड जाना है, ऐसे जगह. मेरा शायद नहीं था उस समय तक वो क्लैरिटी, क्योंकि मे बी वो एक्सपोजर नहीं हुआ था टू द पीपल हु हैव बीन टू दिस वर्ल्ड. एंड व्हेन आई गॉट अ चांस टू मे बी थिंक अबाउट द ट्रांजिशन, और ये एक हमको अच्छा ऑप्शन दिखा to get some academic background, also develop maybe some skills, be it in policy or be it otherwise. And so yeah, to be honest, हम नहीं सोचे थे कि हम प्रोविडेंस में रहेंगे या हम यूएस में आके हार्वर्ड में पढ़ाई करेंगे. So I honestly speaking वो मैंने नहीं सोचा था, but बहुत लोग सोचते हैं, बहुत लोग वो प्लान भी करते हैं कि if you're going to the UPSC thing, because of whatever background you have, you will have these plan B, plan C, plan D. मेरा plan B, plan C जो शायद था भी तो था कि या तो I'll go back to my engineering mining world, और जो हम 3 साल किए थे अपने प्राइम मिनिस्टर्स फेलोशिप में, उसी में हम उस तरीके का ही कुछ और एवेन्यूज एक्सप्लोर करेंगे, which I was doing, for example, in EY as well, in my government public sector consulting. So yeah, this was not as such my plan B, plan C anywhere, but I'm happy that this happened based on my interactions with my friends and my colleagues, and that's why, yeah, today I'm here.
I'm very happy, Nitin, that you're here. I want also to understand, आपने अभी बोला कि you had not thought कि आप world best institution में जाने का dream रखते थे. How has your life changed because of going to one of the world's best institutes? In what ways? क्या differences आपको notice हुए वहाँ पे जाने के बाद? पहली बार आपने इंडिया में भी undergrad किया था, so there must be some differences you've noticed. India's best among one of India's best versus बाहर के बेस्ट में से पढ़ने में क्या एक्सेस टू अपॉर्चुनिटीज, नॉलेज, पीपल, वो कैसे डिफर करता है?
सॉरी, आई थिंक दैट्स अ ग्रेट क्वेश्चन, एंड टू बी ऑनेस्ट ये आदमी काफी बार सोचता भी है, क्योंकि जब आप आईआईटी या एसआरसीसी, डीयू इन कॉलेजेस को देखते हैं इंडिया में, और आप कंपेयर करते हैं विद प्लेसेस यहाँ पे जो हैं आईवी लीग्स और अदरवाइज में, so कुछ differences जो notable है, which I have really found are worthwhile to mention. For example, so when I was studying in Harvard, you can take any course, whichever is in your interest area or relevant concentration, in MIT, in Tufts, Fletcher, in Boston University. ये चीज इंडिया में कभी हम नहीं सुने थे कि आप यदि आईआईटी दिल्ली में पढ़ते हो तो जाके आप डीटीयू में या एसआरसीसी में या स्टीफेंस कॉलेज में जाकर फिलॉसफी का या मे बी किसी भी सब्जेक्ट का which again interests you के कोर्सेस ले सकते हो. तो आई थिंक दिस काइंड ऑफ अप्रोच is something which they really have done a great job here, कि आपको यदि MIT में जाके सिस्टम इंजीनियरिंग पढ़ना है, so the best people are there, and just go there, take that course. So एक वो बहुत डिफरेंस मुझे नोटेबल लगा. दूसरा also networks, I think, which is very cliche but at the same time true as well, that once you have these universities on your LinkedIn or on your identity, it becomes a bit easier for you to reach out to people and get their also maybe some time and effort. तो वो आदमी वो एफर्ट लगाने के लिए तैयार होता है. आप उसको मैसेज करते हो तो आपको शायद वो लगता है, किसको भी लगता है कि हाँ ये आदमी शायद because of their again identities and past alumni relationships, it becomes a bit easier, to be honest, to be to be crack this world of finding people, the right people to talk to, etc. तीसरा also I feel the way education has been as such designed. जैसे हम लोग के यहाँ अभी भी इंडिया में I feel कि so called maybe you can share about ISB because that's a different place altogether as compared to IIT जहाँ का मुझे आइडिया है कि अभी भी वो ना इंडिविजुअल स्टडी के ऊपर फोकस इतना ज्यादा है कि कहीं ना कहीं हम लोग ये मिस कर जाते हैं कि ग्रुप स्टडी में हाउ मच यू कैन रियली एक्सट्रैक्ट एंड डिराइव एंड गेन. तो यहाँ पे द वेरी डे वी रीच्ड वी हैव दीस 5 मेंबर स्टडी ग्रुप्स, आपको उनके साथ ही सब कुछ बैठ के करना है, डिस्कस करना है. दो आई फील वो MBA कॉलेजेस में भी थोड़ा मोड़ा होता है और वो हम नहीं देखे थे IITs में, इसलिए हम उसको तब भी बोल रहे हैं. And it was nice that you were always in a group study. आप साथ में discuss कर रहे हो, notes पे बात कर रहे हो, class में क्या हुआ वो बात कर रहे हो. And I think it's a very different and interesting way of learning at the same time. और again ये important for organizations में आपको काम करने के लिए, group thinking, or teamwork, etc. So I think these 3-4 things are which come to my mind immediately. And even चौथा, even the way we interact with our professors. जैसे ये concept होता है office hours का यहाँ पर कि टीचिंग फेलोज हों या वो ग्रेजुएट स्टूडेंट्स जो कि पढ़ाते हैं एज लाइक CAs, कोर्स असिस्टेंट और टीचिंग फेलोज और प्रोफेसर्स. तो एक तरीके से हायरकी है बड़े वो एजुकेशन सिस्टम में जो लोग पढ़ा रहे हैं आपको. हायरकी एक तरीके से बोलने के लिए है, बट ऐसा सिस्टम नहीं है जहाँ पे कि आपको सर मैडम कर करके ही हमेशा संबोधित करना पड़े. दे प्रेफर फर्स्ट नेम्स एंड ऑल. एंड उन लोगों का ऑफिस आवर्स होता है विच यू कैन बुक एंड यू कैन गो टू देम एंड डिस्कस अबाउट व्हाटएवर life or core subjects you want to understand better. जो I still feel कि इंडिया में उस तरीके से डिजाइन नहीं किया गया है जहां पर a student feels comfortable enough to go and talk. और जैसे कि इंडिया में MTech स्टूडेंट्स को भी उनको कहा जाता है या PhD स्टूडेंट्स को जाके आप पढ़ाइए अंडरग्रेड्स को, लेकिन इस तरीके का कॉन्सेप्ट नहीं है. बहुत ही स्ट्रक्चर्ड मैनर में ऑफ ऑफिस आवर्स एंड रीचिंग आउट टू देम एंड गेटिंग सपोर्ट. सो आई थिंक ये कुछ मुझे लगा डिफरेंसेस. आई एम हैप्पी टू हियर योर्स एज वेल, ISB और इन तीनों में different similarities.
Right. I think one big similarity is the study group वाला concept. ISB में individual study actually इतनी नहीं होती है. Study groups ही form करते हैं. They try कि different background से लोगों जिनका pre-ISB background है वो अलग हो एक study group के अंदर. हाँ. So that is there. बाकी office hours and all तो मेरे first masters में भी थे. Actually I realized that a lot of Indian colleges are trying to model the American model of education now. आपके गवर्नमेंट वाले आप हटा दो. I did my first masters from Mazin Premji. Professors were extremely approachable. Office hours के साथ. And then उसके अलावा भी you could mail them and go work with them, speak with them at any time. They were open to working with you. वो DU में नहीं था. DU में बहुत unapproachable, distant professors. Traditional Indian education जो हम सुनते हैं. So at least in my mind, DU was like that. I don't know if it's changed. But certain universities in India are trying to do things differently. Azim Premji, where I went, is one I know of. Then ISB, then Ashoka, and maybe other universities also, some government ones. I'm not aware how IIMs function. वहाँ पे openness है कि नहीं. But yes, that's the difference. But however, मुझे एक चीज लगती है, and I would like to hear more about your experiences at Harvard with regards to that. कि India में you don't get global exposure and global colleagues. You learn from people who also always lived in India. So I want to hear more about your experiences at Harvard. आप केन्या गए थे अपने internship के लिए, वो तो मुझे भी पता है. So talk a little bit more about that. ऐसे आपने globally और क्या-क्या experience किया because of going to a school abroad versus going to one here? How did it expand you and your worldview?
Yeah, no, that's a great question which I had missed, I think in the last question. और ये काफी important है and काफी, it's really very beneficial for you as well. For example, यदि मैं अपने क्लास की बात करूं in the MPAID program which I did, so उसमें 87 students थे, 87 coming from 38 countries. So एक तो global experience आपको अपने क्लास में ही daily मिल रहा है कि you are talking to people from 38 different countries. Okay, they might not be equal in number, ठीक है. जैसे इंडिया से 13 लोग थे, बट बहुत और देश से, जैसे पेरू से 10 लोग थे, कोलंबिया से 5 लोग थे, आपको पूरे अफ्रीका से 6 लोग थे, which is lesser as compared to what we were expecting and what the program is also trying to work upon. But yeah, it was a great way to meet people from far east Russia to people in the western part of US as such. So उस तरीके का geographical आपको मिलना, I think global coverage वो काफी नया था. And सिर्फ लोग यदि वहां से आते हैं तो जैसे आप यदि हम बिहार से फॉर एग्जांपल हैं, यू आर फ्रॉम यूपी सरगम, so you bring with your experiences and upbringing lot of things which otherwise you can't be able to experience Instagram पे या WhatsApp पे या कहीं पर. तो वो आपको अपने personal interactions में ही मिलता है. So I feel that is also a way which distinguishes places like these. For example, in Harvard, there are students from 80 to 100 countries every year. So even outside my program, in other programs at the Kennedy School or Business School or MIT, wherever I was interacting with people, 80 से 100 देश के लोग से, you're able to reach out. Like there's this person from Haiti, a very dear friend of mine. And the way now I understand Haiti is very different from what I used to otherwise understand about that country. So, ek to you're right, ki this global coverage only in classes and those study groups you get. Then, as you were saying about Kenya and those internships experiences, so you can choose an internship which can be in your own country, like back to India. But generally, in my program, they really are very, I think, great in this manner. कि वो कहते हैं कि apart from your own country, ही internship आप खोजिएगा. So you don't go back to your comfort zone again, work in India. So I chose Kenya. I went to Kenya. There's an organization called Synergy, which works in water and sanitation as well. In fact, sanitation more. And it was great. 2 months mein I was able to understand a bit, not a lot, because 2 months is just a short time to know any country, be it Kenya or any other country. So I was still able to understand the social, economic, political realities of that country, and maybe a bit about the larger context. And Kenya, Nairobi, where I was staying for almost 2 months, you won't believe, almost 80 to 100 students were there for internships from different colleges of the world, especially from America. So Stanford se koi tha, koi Yale se tha. So again, you got a chance to interact with these people who might have again exposed and opened many gates of yours, be it the networks or be it the social political understanding of different countries where they come from. तो एक वो आपको मिला. उस तरीके से एक इजराइल ट्रैक हम लोग का हुआ था. Now because you know what's happening in Israel, which is very sad and disheartening. But we went to Israel for a 7 days trip, जो कि was all about knowing the social, economic, startups, political, realities of Israel, Palestine as well. तो हम लोग गाजा गए, जेरूसलम गए, तेल अवीव गए. So I feel कि ये सब शायद इतना आसान नहीं होता जो हमको मिला वो exposure, वो 7 days of seeing how these things are happening. We can have our own views and narratives about what is right and what is wrong in the Israel-Palestine problem. But जो आदमी देख पाया कि वो startups में कैसे काम उन लोग का हो रहा है और उन लोग की क्या मतलब process है defense का या agriculture startups etc. So I feel these things really build up in making you or shaping you more of a global individual as compared to like वो जो है ना कि global plus local वाला बात. So I feel that is something which you get in such a place.
Yeah. So sounds like इतना भी बुरा नहीं रहा not clearing the UPSC. 5 साल पहले जिनके जो aspirations थे, they may be different from the life you're living right now, but it has opened to very different and very new worlds. So
it has. Again, that's why your first best, second best question हम लोग last में फिर discuss कर सकते हैं, and maybe you will only conclude कि it might be the first best. But yeah, I think this is what we talk as well. Maybe with my family, with my wife as well. कि if I had cleared, the whole concept of counterfactual. I love that concept counterfactual. Last video में काफी बात किए थे. Or if I had cleared UPSC, I might have been working in some district. And I might be able to do some good work. I don't know, क्योंकि आपको वो पता नहीं होता कभी counterfactual में क्या होता है. But I really get sad sometimes. For example, the other day I was watching this news of an IS officer getting transferred in UP just because she had done some good work in getting water to a village which never had water for the last 75 years. And she was shunted, like she doesn't have even a place where she's going to work in the coming months. So it makes you feel sad कि यार, even after clearing that exam, after so much effort and having aspirations to do public service, your efforts still might be stifled or might be, have obstacles which might be beyond your control. जो शायद अभी कम हो जाता है आपके केस में, and you're still able to contribute in lesser capacity, lesser scale impact, I don't know. Lekin you can still contribute. And that's what I think, Shores Beyond UPSC platform and the people who are on it needs to, I think, really appreciate and believe कि हो सकता है कि अभी आपको अपना वो so-called desired goal outcome नहीं मिले. But there are many ways in which perhaps destiny or your hard work or your approach planning can still make you move closer, if not beyond that goal of yours as well.
Yeah, exactly. Whoa, the quotation, right? That the plans you have for yourself may not be the plans that life has for you. And sometimes the plans life has for you are much better than what you could ever expect and dream of.
Yeah,
Because
true,
we
agree.
don't even know what we don't know. Like you said,
Yeah,
पहले आपको पता भी नहीं था कि वर्ल्ड्स बेस्ट इंस्टीट्यूशन में जाने का एक एस्पिरेशन आप रख सकते हो. But then things just unfolded, and here you are. And like you said, this may be best option or second best. We don't know. We are not passing any value judgments on that right now. But yes, this is my last question for the evening. Um, your morning, my bad. This is my last question for the morning. कि 5 साल बाद के नितिन के क्या aspirations है? What do you want your life to be like 5 years from now?
That's a great question. And to be honest, in this world of planning, my wife is much better than me. Lekin हाँ, 5 years from now, at least, and generally now I plan for 2 years, not 5 years, because I'm staying in a different country with all those visa restrictions and visa challenges. Sometimes 5 years from now becomes a lot. But हाँ, I think जो हम देख रहे हैं अपने आप को in 5 years or maybe 3 to 5 years is getting more exposure of this global, scenario where I am in. Because last 2.5 years I'm here, I have obviously gained some understanding of how different things work here, and maybe I'll try to understand of maybe other countries as well, how they are working. So in terms of work, I'll say that more global experiences of working in these different organizations, be it the social impact startup where I am now working, or multilateral organizations. Secondly, I think it's more about the work-life balance, which I feel sometimes really gets less priority because of different reasons. And I think I'm very happy that both Ritika, my wife, and I talk about this very frequently, और हम लोग इसके ऊपर कोशिश करते हैं in whatever ways we can to maintain that. ठीक है, और maybe US में आपको क्योंकि maid का system भी कम है, तो आपको खुद से you get more chances to cook and also do the dishes, laundry, etc., which I feel is a good way to spend some time together. Tisra, for example, even work-life balance and relationships and family time, I feel कि उसको और हम enhance करना चाहेंगे, like building a community, like what we are doing here, talking to people who connect to us, who understand us. Like I talk to my family every day, almost for 1 hour. तो ये सब चीजें मुझे लगता है कि और ज्यादा जरूरी है. I just had read this Twitter पे article of I think Adam Grant, who had just mentioned the 7 takeaways from his new research, where he mentions कि कैसे family time, relationships time, partner time, आपका self time, ये कैसे decrease हुआ है over the decade, and how it changes based on your age. So in your 30s, generally many things either peak or they reach to a low, and then how things change. तो मतलब ये जैसे children time जो कहते हैं कि 20s तक जो है सबसे ज्यादा है आपके सिबलिंग, आपके पेरेंट्स, आपके चिल्ड्रन के साथ में, और फिर वो घटने लगता है. So I think it's a good reflection of how our life also changes and how we want to prioritize on that. So I think हाँ, largely इसी तरीके के कुछ चीजों पे मेरा focus है for the coming 5 years, and let's see how it goes.
Yes, thank you so much, Nitin. That is it from my side. These are all the questions I wanted and the updates on your journey. Is there something else that you want to talk about that I may not have asked you today?
No, maybe we can hear a bit about you as well, because both of us have transitioned from that world, and I don't want to be put in the spotlight alone. Maybe I'll just try to diversify.
Right.
And yeah, so maybe based on what we talked about in the last 30 minutes, if you feel that there is something which is different or which is similar to what we which I mentioned, which also needs to be discussed in whatever ways, maybe like therapy.
Right.
When I came to US, I think therapy was a concept which was such a taboo back in India, at least in 2019-20, जहाँ पे हम देख रहे थे.
Right.
It's so different here, ठीक है ना? यहाँ पे लोग freely बताते हैं. Yesterday I was in my therapy and I just discovered this. So वो कितना important you have realized based on your experiences and your friends. और दूसरा I also feel कि जो पूरा ये एक pressure है ना, for example, now you are in a private corporate job. I'm in a social impact startup. Both have their different flavors and their pros and cons as such. But I would like to maybe also listen to that kind of thing, after your ISB, how you have been able to maneuver that. So yeah, I think these two things.
Yeah, for sure. Therapy, I think, was very helpful for me. But having said that, I would also like to say it's important to find the right therapist. I tried two therapists. I knew instantly they wouldn't work for me. Some people take more time to realize. I was very clear मुझे क्या चाहिए था, even though I was in a bad space. But finally, the therapist I saw, in fact, she's the one who helped me see failure in a different way. The family I was raised in, the only value we were supposed to aspire to was achievement. ये यूपी बिहार का प्रॉब्लम भी होता है, एकेडमिक अचीवमेंट, प्रोफेशनल अचीवमेंट, वो नहीं किए जिंदगी में तो तुम किसी काम के नहीं हो. So I had internalized that narrative. Thankfully, she helped me see it differently. And I'd written a very detailed newsletter also about it. So the exercise she gave me, and maybe viewers भी अगर चाहें तो कर सकते हैं अपने लिए, she asked me, okay, what does achievement mean to you? Note down every single point. So break it down, deconstruct it. And each of those points के लिए write down in detail. So I had 10-15 pages ka pura, almost an essay of sorts to give her by the next session. And then we discussed ek part in isolation. What does achievement mean to you? And that helped me deconstruct it a lot. And I realized some parts of it were absolutely useless. कि हम अपने social circles में जा रहे हैं, जिन अंकल आंटियों से मैं शायद साल में 2 बार मिलती हूँ, और वो मेरे बारे में क्या सोचते हैं? Why is that perceived judgment even affecting me? How does that matter? How does their judgment of my achievement or non-achievement affect my day-to-day life? It doesn't. So she taught me the concept of internal validation, which I still carry today. आज भी मैं अपने बारे में कई चीजें पूछती हूँ, how am I feeling about this? So that has made it easier for me to not get carried away with social currents, even at ISB, for instance. I was able to stave off the pressure to say get grades or to get certain kinds of jobs, because things don't always pan out. I saw people break down at ISB also because they had come with a very, very specific idea of what they want out of ISB. और जब वो नहीं हुआ तो बहुत लोगों के breakdowns होते हैं during the placement season. In fact, अभी इस साल फिर से placement season चल रहा है. Especially at such goal-driven places like MBA colleges, top MBA colleges, that kind of pressure to prove yourself, to mostly yourself, because generally दुनिया में और किसी के पास इतना टाइम भी नहीं होता कि वो आपके proofs को देखने के लिए बैठे. वो खुद बहुत busy है to proving themselves to the world. So that is one thing that I think therapy helped me with. Secondly, I also think that maybe it's for the best कि नहीं हुआ मेरा foreign services में, क्योंकि life थोड़ी तो constrained होती है. Currently, what I really enjoy is, like you said, the sense of agency and freedom that I have. I may not have reached the end point of where I can say, okay, yes, I have arrived. I think there is at least 2 more years of work ahead of me before I can say I have arrived. And 2 years is a very, very optimistic, aggressive time frame I'm giving you. If not 2, then 5. वो तो जिंदगी भर काम चलता ही है, but मैं वहां तक अभी भी नहीं पहुंची हूँ कि मैं बोलूँ कि हाँ, I have arrived. However, I like the sense of freedom and control that I have. I like the fact that I don't necessarily have to ask anybody else. अगर मेरे को job change करना है, to leave a job like one of the UPSC services is such a big task in itself. You can't. इतने मेहनत के बाद आप अगर वहां पे हो, private jobs आप change करते हो, वो भी निकाल देते हैं, वो बात अलग है. आजकल tech में mass layoffs चल रहे हैं. And you don't even expect to do it for life is one. Two, after having gone to places like ISB, your sense of possibility expands a lot more because your classmates are doing so many different things. अगर आप civil services में ही रहते हो, वो sites generally for keeping on engaging with people who are doing very diverse things, वो कम होते जाते हैं. For most people I've seen, unless maybe people are actively making that effort. तो मेरे कुछ बैचमेट्स entrepreneurs हैं और वो भी 10 तरह की चीजों में entrepreneurs हैं. कुछ बैचमेट्स ज्यादातर अभी corporates में, but I'm sure within 1 to 5 years a lot of them will go on and do very different things themselves. And yes, so that is how I think life is different for me from what I had in था कि मैं MBA graduate बनूंगी. I never saw myself as an MBA graduate. So that is my story.
Yeah. No, thank you, Sargav. I think this was really great to listen to your experiences. And you're right, when it comes to therapy or mental health, in general, इंडिया में काफी कुछ I think change भी हो रहा है, काफी कुछ गवर्नमेंट भी अपने ओर से ला रही है, especially after COVID, where I think many of the people realize it's not as simple or as complicated as they portray it to be. And even here, I think that I realized that how we just want to prove to everyone that we are the best. And when you're able to maybe reach from that X place to a place like this, तो आप अपने अंदर और भी ज्यादा उस तरीके की एम्स बना लेते हो. And that is where I think you start trying to prove them, and if you are not able to prove them as you wanted to, then you just get into that bubble, which might not be the most healthy thing for you. So thank you for sharing that. Yeah, thank you for sharing. And I've also seen those kinds of experiences here. एक तो यहाँ कैसे आपको इतना कल्चरल और बाकी चेंजेस हो जाते हैं फेस करने के लिए, और फिर उसके अलावा एकेडमिक प्रेशर, उसके बाद इस तरीके के प्रूविंग इट टू द वर्ल्ड which might be sometimes immaterial and useless. In fact, it's of proving to yourself and being happy about what you are doing. So thank you for sharing that. And also the second part of life moves on, and you can have your 2-year, 5-year plans, plan A, plan B, but life can also throw you with some interesting stuff. And as they say, why when life throws you lemons, make a lemonade out of it. Yeah. And that's what I think you did with ISB. I did with Harvard. And many people, who might have done something, like that as well. So thank you for sharing that.
In fact, I'd like to share one more thing that I think I got the idea from therapy. We were discussing something else, and she introduced the idea of sublimating your pain to me. कई बार जैसे आपके लिए कोई बहुत painful experience हुआ है, but you can convert it to something useful. Artists generally do that. They make art out of that. Shorts for me was an idea of sublimating, because मैं बैठ के ऐसे सोच रही थी, यार मेरी life में सबसे painful experiences क्या हैं? One of them was कि okay, my career is nowhere right now, and I was an ambitious person. I was like, but wait, this is not just my problem. मेरे साथ जो सारे friends हैं, सब रो रहे हैं, सब depressed हैं, सब दुखी हैं, किसी को समझ नहीं आ रहा what to do next. Why not? I find people who've already made it to the other side, and I build a platform which can help people move on. So this was my journey of trying to sublimate my own pain in many ways, and this is also a concept I got introduced to because of therapy, and I took it, I modeled it in my own way, of course. And the second thing I want to say is I no longer make 2-year and 5-year plans. Actually, I make quarterly plans, especially because now that I'm working in tech, I am seeing how crazy the pace of changes is. And every day ChatGPT is coming up with new functionalities. मैं तो सारा काम अपना आजकल ChatGPT से कर रही हूँ. वो सब कुछ कर दे रहा है. It is crazy. I mean, sure, your own capabilities are enhanced 10x, but I don't even know if jobs as a concept are going to be people's main source of income anymore. So in a world like that, to make 2-year and 5-year professional plans, I'm not sure how viable that is. So I'm trying to approach my life with a place of curiosity and play. And like you said, just how you are feeling about certain things and doing multiple things. So that's one thing I like about not being in a very straight-jacketed role in the way that you are in the civil services, and your hands are kind of tied because you can't think about, oh, 1 साल बाद मैं छोड़ के कुछ और कर सकता हूँ, फिर मैं कुछ अपना business शुरू कर सकता हूँ. Let me learn in this job for 2 years and then let me start something in this industry. That doesn't happen. So I'm very happy. Mostly I'm very happy about the sense of possibilities. You have to, of course, exercise those options, but options in and of themselves have a value, is what my finance professor said, and that has stuck with me.
Yeah, no, that's great to hear that, and you're right. I think sublimation concept हम psychology में पढ़े थे. So it's good to hear that, how in therapy also people can use that. And I think the best part of, that's why I wanted to hear your thoughts, was that जितना ज़्यादा taboo आप करते हैं, like yesterday I was watching Oh My God 2, ठीक है, जितना ज़्यादा taboo करते हैं, be it sex education or be it maybe therapy, I think the bigger the problem becomes, and then it becomes much more difficult to even tackle it, leave solve it. So thank you for sharing that. And also what you said about ChatGPT. I still remember the ChatGPT was introduced here in December 2022. It's been now like 8-9 months. Or I was a teaching fellow to an undergraduate of Harvard course. और मुझे essays उनके check करने थे, evaluate करने थे. And मुझे पहला बार हम यही click किया कि if now ChatGPT is there, let me try to see the same question which these students have answered, how ChatGPT answers. अब वो उस समय उनका पुराना वर्जन था जो कि सबसे पहला आया था दिसंबर में. And I was really, startled and amazed to see how structured answers it gives, and also with information. ठीक है, उसमें last एक साल का information नहीं है, but उसके बावजूद उस वाले वर्जन में वो information जब आया, and then I really understood कि how like I think Ritika uses more of ChatGPT than me, but I think it's great that kind of technological intervention is happening. I'm not sure उससे UPSC के एग्जाम में क्या फर्क होगा, कि मतलब मेंस के आंसर्स कितने अच्छे उससे निकल कर आ सकते हैं, इंटरव्यूज के मॉक टेस्ट कितना अच्छा हो सकता है, and all that. But one thing which I still feel is what you were saying बहुत right है कि different professions, different pace, जिस तरीके से tech change हो रहा है, but at the same time one area where I feel ChatGPT or any other AI versus what we are as an individual, where our emotions and experiences kick in. कैसे उसको हम use कर सकें, along with the tech world, because that's also a thought which has been coming up for a while. कि क्या हम अपने आप को वो हमारे जो unique identities हैं, unique aspects हैं, if we can combine with that technological world, I think we can make the world a much better place, without making it biased and without making it, as sometimes it becomes with tech. But yeah, I think even with humans it becomes biased. So why blame the tech as such for that? So yeah, I'm happy that we talked about these things as well, apart from our core post UPSC transition or something like that, because it's important to also talk about these things and accept them. कि ये सब भी बहुत important मुद्दे हैं जिसको कि आप deprioritize नहीं कर सकते हैं.
Correct. And मुझे तो ऐसा लगने लगा है काफी टाइम से that UPSC in some ways exam का जो format है and even the structure of the career is now in many ways very quickly becoming career of the past. So we are preparing ourselves for a career of the past when we are studying just for the exam. क्योंकि दुनिया जितनी जल्दी बदल रही है, the kind of mindset you develop while preparing for UPSC is not the same that you need for careers of the future. For careers of the future, you need to simultaneously, not before going into the exam, but in your preparation, you need to be comfortable wearing 10 different hats, and you need to be comfortable adapting super quickly. So you won't be stuck with the same thing for a year at all. जैसे हम एक ही चीज को पढ़ते हैं एक साल के लिए यूपीएससी एग्जाम में, जो साइकिल टाइम इतना लंबा होता है, वो रियल वर्ल्ड में अब बचा ही नहीं है.
Yeah, no, I think you're right. And I think that's why maybe the Lavasnas have to prepare and train the aspirants, the people who become civil servants as well more. और maybe उनको भी सिखाना होगा कि ChatGPT use करके आप कैसे नया लेटर निकाल सकते हो, नोटिस निकाल सकते हो, and all that.
I think
yeah, because
yes,
it's important, and it's important to accept the reality, instead of saying कि नहीं ये reality तो खत्म हो जाएगा, बदल जाएगा, and all that. You have to accept the reality which is in front of you. And so yeah, that's great. Thank you, Sargam, for sharing that.
Thank you so much, Nitin. You have a great Sunday. Thank you for your time on a Sunday morning. Really appreciate
No
it.
worries.
I hope the viewers enjoyed, and you can always watch Nitin's first video if you want to learn more about how he got to Harvard. Okay, bye-bye. Bye, Nitin.
Okay, bye, Sargam. It was great talking to you. See you soon.
Lovely talking to you always. Bye.
Same here.